The Bat is back. Fansproject, Function X4, Sigma L, today on World of Stuff. In case you can't guess, Sigma L is Fansproject's version of the Decepticon Headmaster Hypnotist Mind Wipe, which was also a bat. And people were actually quite happy to see this, especially me, because once people saw that they were doing Headmasters, they wondered when they were going to get to this particular figure. Toy World might also be doing one. I can't really be sure on that because instead they released the Swamper, their version of Skull Cruncher. So it's difficult to say what they're doing right now. But here's the Generation 1 original version for comparison. I believe Emgo would say Precious. Oh, brother. Now, some of you are also thinking, didn't they release a Mind Wipe in Revenge of the Fallen? Yes, they did, as a stealth jet. That turned into a ninja with hypnotism powers. If you can make sense of that, good luck to you. Personally, I'm just happy that they were able to actually use Mind Wipe for anything, but still, this is a very nice update to the original design. One interesting point is that one of the weapons that Sigma L comes with, dual shotguns, which can be mounted either under the wing, right, like so, or on the back, like so. He can also tilt his head upwards in this mode for a flight mode. And for additional firepower, he has an opening mouth with a little cannon in it. Personally, when he's in bat mode, I like to leave the guns right there, because you can kind of curl up the wings, like so. You can't really do it in the way that nature does it, but oh well. Now, there have been some very creative TF fans who've been able to get it to stand on its legs upside down. I personally haven't tried it, I might not try it unless there's like a very large amount of pillows underneath what Sigma L is under, but still, it's a thought. And plus, on the back as well, is this coffin design with a Gothic cross on it in translucent green. Very nice. Now, as you could probably guess, having all of this on these little feet does cause some balance issues. So you're going to want to make certain he's on a very stable space. Unless you're going to have him in robot mode most of the time, which would be a shame because this is a very nice bat mode, especially with all those speakers. Silly, but I like it. Okay, getting back to the coffin here for a second. If you lift this part up and then separate these two parts out, that's actually where the Headmaster is stored, which is a very nice bit of engineering. I certainly appreciate it, and it gives him a bit more thematical accuracy because he is definitely a very vampire themed, and as in some of the more good Dracula movies, not necessarily that Twilight nonsense. Yep. Now, an interesting note about the name here, and I definitely applaud the person who thought this, figured this out. This is the symbol of Greek for Sigma, and they've basically figured out that this is more of a 90-degree angle, because if you place it at a 90-degree angle this way, you get an M. If you place it at a 90-degree angle this way, you get a W, i.e. Mind Wipe. Genius! Okay, now let's move on to the big show, shall we? Let's get to transformation. First, we will unpeg these, what will become the arms from what are the body and the legs. Then we will come back here and separate these parts out. Yes, I took out the Headmaster because that part comes out later. Then we will unpeg these parts again, twist around carefully. Then we will fold out. Base mode? No, not really. Okay, then we will twist this down, fold the feet in, and bring them in. Then we will fold this part out. Then we will bring this part in for leg 1. And repeat on the other side. The joints on mine are very tight, which is a very good plus because having a third-party toy with loose joints tends to make a third-party company look very, very bad. So the fact that they are fairly tight on mine, well, it does make the transformation a little bit more. Does mean I have to put a little bit more effort. Does mean that it will transform more solidly. I can live with that. There we go. Now, next we will come around here. There's nothing really holding this part in, so you can just kind of fold that down and around. Twist here. And again. And this is people have figured out that this is kind of a secret head mode. Kind of silly, but you can do it. But if you want the real Headmaster effect, you fold down these ears up here, fold the head up, very important, and then you bring this whole assembly down and around like that. And there we have a Headmaster waiting for his head. Let's get to that, shall we? Okay, as for the Headmaster transformation itself, we will bring out this part right here. Very important, otherwise you will break this. And that will just lead to sadness. Then we will fold into the legs, like so. And there's his face right there. Complete with red eyes and vampire teeth. Nice touch. Then we'll fold down this part. Put on his glasses. Stylish things they are. Then we will come back, bring forward the body of the Headmaster, and then we will plug it in. And there is Sigma L in his complete robot mode. Now here we have the two Headmasters. This one was from the G1 Mindwipe, and this one is from Sigma L here. And we do see some rather significant design changes, as well as, well, this is like 30 years old, younger than this one, so there's going to be some changes. For example, you can actually move the arms on this one, and they're unlikely to break. And you can move the legs independently, so you can get some basic but very nice articulation there. As for Vorak, which was Mindwipe's Headmaster, you can, well, that's kind of like an old Atari game, isn't it? Plus, without this flap, he's just kind of wearing a face. But that's kind of where we are with Sigma L's Headmaster 2, although it looks a little bit better. So still, you got something going on there. Something very nice. As for the articulation, the head does rotate. Doesn't move up or down, but due to the nature of the gimmick itself, that's kind of how that works. So now a hinge joint and a ball joint for the shoulder. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and a ball jointed wrist. So you can get a very good amount of articulation there. The wings, which have been a point of contention, which I have addressed, can swivel inward and outward that way. They can also swivel backward and forward, and can swivel on up and down like that, and can fold inward. And yes, I did put some repro labels on mine, because it is mine. Anyway, waist rotation, very good waist rotation there. So now, universal joint with a very mild ratchet for the hips. Thigh swivel. In robot mode, 90-degree knee joint. And the front of the feet are ball jointed, so you can get a good amount of articulation there on them. So if you want him to look menacing, he certainly can. Another interesting note is that Toy World, who is also producing Headmasters, instead of doing the Mindwipe immediately, has instead gone to a Grand Maximus, which they call Infinitus. Well, I'm okay with that. It gives me more time to enjoy a Sigma L here until they figure out what they're going to do with that one. But still, I do have to wonder what they do have planned for that particular, their version of Mindwipe. And I imagine is everyone else. So if you're holding out on this version for the Toy World, you may be waiting a little while. Of course, if you do have the funds for it, you could always get both. I certainly intend to. Aside from the shotguns he comes with, and more of this set right here, which he can hold quite nice in his hands. Although you do kind of have to slide it, which can be a bit of a hair-raising experience. I haven't felt anything crack or give away, so we should be good there. Yay for good plastic tolerances. But in addition, if you want more swords, the Dr. Wu swords, these prime swords for example, fit quite nicely into his hands. Oddly, the darker one fits nicer than the gold one. Oddly enough. Haven't been able to figure that out yet. Might be due to the finish. Or if you have the Age of Extinction Hound, this gun as one, or any of his guns separately, will fit quite nicely into his hands as well. He's basically... You can basically make him as dangerous as you want. Which, considering he's a robot vampire, can be quite dangerous. Okay, as for some comparisons, here is the Generation 1 Mind Wipe again. And yeah, Sigma is literally a head taller. So the G1 is kind of like the older, fatter brother. Which isn't bad. It's just kind of odd. And I do appreciate that they didn't do the this gimmick replicated, because this would make things a lot bigger and possibly more expensive. So there's that. And once again, here is the expanded Hunt for the Decepticon, Revenge of the Fallen Mind Wipe. Which, yeah, not much of a comparison there, but it is a Mind Wipe, for better or worse. Now, a note about the wings. A lot of people have said that they would have preferred that the wings were actually stuck on his back in robot mode instead of on the sides of his arms, which I do kind of understand. However, that would have radically altered the design of Sigma L itself, because basically these legs right here are his back. So while it is a little inconvenient, it's not exactly a big problem. I get what they were trying to do here. And depending on what you want to do, you can fold these wings back. You can even have them in kind of a flight pose in the robot mode. Kind of silly, but you can do it, if that excites you. Well, I'd say that wraps up this review. I am Deceptiwolf. This has been Fansproject Function X4 Sigma L. And I bid you all good night.